Good morning slash afternoon slash evening anatomy fans, wherever you may be tuning in from. I am Lissa Mahalik. My lovely assistant, Napoleon Boniparts, is refusing to admit that it is in fact still winter here in New York City as of today, March 19th. So hopefully wherever you are, it is warmer, or at least getting warmer. Hopefully it's going to be getting warmer here too. Oh my gosh, this is getting ridiculous. So this is our Q&A session for the rotator cuff class that I sent out, video rotator cuff series, rotator cuff video series. There we go. Apparently I need more coffee. So I have a bunch of questions here. I'm going to pull those up. Actually a fair number of these questions, a lot of you guys have similar questions. So I'm going to go into a little deeper into some of these questions just because, 2 or 3 of y'all have it or more. So, pardon me. Okay, tea, not coffee, but still. Hydration is the key. So the first question, and I get this one a lot, is how do I modify downward dog for clients with rotator cuff tears? And this is a very common question because both downward dog brings in both weight supporting on your hands and lifting overhead, which are 2 things that are extremely difficult for rotator cuff patients to do. So when you have rotator cuff clients, the first thing you're going to do as a yoga teacher is like, oh God, downward dog. Now, there are a few things that you can do with this. The first thing, honestly, that I would suggest is if you have somebody who comes to your yoga class with a rotator cuff injury, or your Pilates class, or anything, to your group class, and they are not familiar with you and the way you teach, and you are not familiar with them and the way they move, talk to them about getting at least 1 or 2 private sessions, preferably at least a 5 or a 10 pack, so that you can work through and really learn how they move, learn how their body works, what their limitations are and what their non-limitations are. And also, most importantly, show them and really nail in. And this is where it's like between 1 and 10 sessions. It depends on how coordinated they are and how easily they can pick up with what's going on with their body and with their movement. If they are pretty coordinated, you know how you can see when somebody really knows their body and when somebody really doesn't. If somebody really knows their body, maybe you just want 1 or 2 sessions. The first one to go over, okay, let's see what you can do. Okay, we're going to modify this exercise in this way for you. Every time I say down dog, what you're going to do is you're going to do this instead. So getting that really clear. And a second follow-up session to make sure they don't, once they've gone through, maybe a couple of weeks later, they've gone through some classes. Every time you've said down dog, they've done their modification and it's all worked. And to make sure they don't have any questions, and make sure that if you've seen something in class, you can really spend some time tuning it up with them. So that individualized attention is so very important when we're talking about injuries. Because when people come into your group classes, they expect a good workout and a good session and a good group experience. But if you have to keep stopping and working on somebody individually, it can make them feel really, really self-conscious. It can take away from your paying attention to the rest of the class, and the rest of the class can get resentful. So it depends on the dynamic of your class, obviously, but these are definitely things that you should be thinking about as an instructor and have in place to deal with. So I'm getting very high level here, but it is a high level thing. Now, sure, like it looks like what I'm doing is I'm teaching you the anatomy, like attachments and movements, etc. But the principles behind why you learn what you learn are really the important things. It's just like in any exercise class, like the principles behind a yoga class is not just, oh, hey, let's get all stretchy so we look hot in our outfits. The principles behind a Pilates class, well, okay, the principles behind a Pilates class may well be, hey, let's have really flat abs so we look hot in our outfits. I'm a Pilates teacher, I'm allowed to say that. But, the whole idea of most of these exercises, most of these methodologies that we use is to connect people better to their bodies. And that is underlying everything that we do. So when people can understand their bodies, they can make friends with their bodies, Then they respect their bodies better. They want to treat their bodies better. They'll end up looking better because a happy body looks good. When you are happy with your body, it looks good. You look good. You know that radiance that people have when they're like, you know, I feel good. Da-da-da-da. That's what we're going for. Yeah? Yeah, I hope so. That's what I'm going for. If you are going for that, you are one of us. Anyhow. So the 3 principles that I'm using to teach anatomy and to teach teaching, to teach all these things to my people and to you guys, are looking at the attachments, looking at the posture and body alignment, and looking at the applications. These are huge. So when we're talking about modifying down dog, what are they trying to do with that? Like, are they trying to look good like the next person over? That's less important than, are they trying to get the inversion happening? Is it a question of, okay, I want the inversion so that I can experience that with my internal organs. Now, here's, for instance, if you have one of those yoga walls with the straps, I sometimes train at the Iyengar Institute, and they have this whole wall with straps on it. It's beautiful. You can give people that inversion, and I don't have a yoga wall, so I can't really demonstrate. Let me see. Let me grab my my band here. Make sure y'all can see me. I have my band. I can put the band across the hip points, and they can get that inversion without putting any weight on their hands at all. So my hands, I have to hold on to this because I'm demonstrating, but my hands can just be loose. They can be here, they can be behind my back, they can be crossed over here, wherever it's comfortable for them. But they can still get that sensation of inversion and that massage that it provides for the internal organs. So first thing is the attachments, which you guys you've seen the rotator cuff class, right? You know these things. So that the attachments are just understanding how the muscles work. And the posture and alignment, that is always organizing the body in relation to itself and making sure that is super important. But in this one, anytime you're looking to modify an exercise, it's the application. What are they looking to accomplish with that? If they're looking to strengthen the arms in that position, maybe full body weight isn't it. Maybe they're just going to do standing and raising their arms. And you guys know all about shoulder mechanics and upward rotation of the scapulae, et cetera, because you've seen the rotator cuff class. So I don't have to go over that now. But looking into those mechanics and things so that they can get that range of motion before they start putting weight on it. But if they're doing downward dog, like I said, specifically to get that inversion and get that organ massage and get that change of perspectives, change of relationship to gravity, change in relationship to the internal organs and the breathing, you can easily do that with, say, a yoga wall. If you don't have a yoga wall available to you, you may have the giant stability ball. Now, I have my lovely couch here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook my heels under the couch. I am going to put some weight here. And let's see. I may be able to move back with the ball so that I can get into this position without having to put a lot of weight on my hands. So here is this position. I have the support in the ball, and I have to put my feet up on the couch because New York City, I don't have the space. But you could consider putting the feet against the wall. You could consider even just, let's see, I put my feet against the ground. You can't get the side view from here, but you do this so I can get into this position. I can get the arms reaching overhead. I don't have to put any weight on them, but I can still get into a fairly decent approximation of the downward dog. So use the props that you have available to you. Can you tell I study Iyengar? Use the props. Support the person into the position, which is why I like Iyengar, because let me tell you how many injuries I got. Now we'll be here all day. So again, in private sessions, you really have the best opportunity to see how the person works, modify an exercise specifically for them, and let them know how to use it in a group class. So that can be a really, really valuable tool for you as you teach. So I hope that is helpful for all of y'all who want to look at how to work with down dog. It's keep the application in mind. What they are trying to accomplish, whether they're trying to accomplish hamstring stretches, that's fine. Just do a forward bend. If they're trying to accomplish that inversion, frankly, the forward bend works pretty well. Or the yoga wall, you can use the ball, all sorts of things. They're looking to get the arms overhead, then the ball is a good support, or you can just do the arms overhead without putting any weight on them. Gravity is plenty. Arms are heavy. Let me tell you, arms are surprisingly heavy. Here is another question. She says, I cannot remember all the names of the muscles and it drives me nuts. How can I keep it all in my head so it sticks? This is an excellent question. I mean, aside from, hey, let's use all the names of the muscles every day, but that can be hard when you're in class because when you keep stumbling over the names of the muscles, you don't feel confident, you don't feel competent. Your clients will pick up on that, and that is never anything you want to do. So you can either practice it in private, you can look up anatomy mnemonics on the web. Be warned, some of them are absolutely filthy, which might help you remember them because that can be hilarious. But some of them are helpful only to an extent, like the facial bones. If you're going to remember the facial bones, you can remember, Virgil cannot make my pet zebra laugh. Awesome. So let's see, Vollmer, C. Now, if I don't remember the name of the bone that begins with C, I'm buggered right there. I keep forgetting that one. I remember the other day. But so the vomer, the bone that begins with C, nasal, make my mandible maxilla, palatine, zygomatic, lacrimal. What is that other C? Anyhow, again, if you can't remember the name of the bone, you can't remember that. That's not going to be a real super helpful mnemonic for you. So the most important thing to know is going back to the principle of attachments that we were talking about the other question, not the other day, is that you should know where the muscles start and where they end. If you know where the muscles start and end, then you know how to exercise them, how to strengthen them, how to activate them, and how to stretch them. If I know that my deltoid starts here, and I know that because I am using my anatomy book right now, where's my deltoid end? Boom, right there, I can feel it. And it starts here. Okay, so from here to here. So if I move these 2 points together, the muscle shortens, it activates, it strengthens. If I move these 2 points apart, the muscle lengthens and it stretches. You can always, always, always use your anatomy book right here. It's not cheating. It's not screwing around. It's not doing anything other than being really smart about the tools that come to hand. See what I did there? So no, you don't have to know like, oh, this prominence and that fossa and that, tubercle or whatever. It's just know approximately where on the bone they attach. And again, you can always check. Where is it? Okay, it's right here. That's cool. And where's this? Okay, here. But isolate it. It's tough. It comes more or less up here. Okay, that's cool. You don't have to know exactly where it attaches, but you do have to know how to shorten it and how to lengthen it. If you know how to shorten it and how to lengthen it, the name is much less important because for some of your people, they don't care either. I'm sorry. I'm implying that you don't care, and I know you do care, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So some of your people don't care about the names. They can't remember them either, which is what I actually meant to say. So throwing names at them that they don't remember could freak some people out. So you can just be like, all right, bring this bit to this bit. Boom, there you go. Feel all those muscles contracting? Good. You don't have to know the names of them. You don't have to tell your people the names of them. That's just fine. If you know what's working, because you can put your hands on yourself or on a friend and feel it, that is much more important. Don't get tangled up in the shiny, like, ooh, I know all the names and I know like I've got this whole book of like fancy diagrams, etc. You've got this whole book. Keep this in mind. This is really important. Okay? Use your cheat sheet. And I have one person here who says that she fell badly and damaged her rotator cuff and wants to improve it and quicken the healing. So she's lost some range of motion, and it really only affects you in yoga practice. All right, awesome. So with this one, when you have a rotator cuff injury and you're looking to do whatever you can to fix it and make it better, one, I really hope that you have a physical therapist and are working through that, because we are not, like, no matter how good we are, unless we have a physical therapy degree, we are not physical therapists, and we cannot do rehab. We can do post-rehab. This is what we do as Pilates teachers, yoga teachers, dance teachers, fitness trainers, people with smart people who work with the body, because that's us. We do post-rehab. So go through rehab first, and then usually what happens is insurance stops paying for it before you get your full range of motion, and that's when we come in doing the post-rehab. So things to do. Here, the supporting musculature is key. That's what, day 3? Did I put that on day 3? I think I put that on day 3. It's the supporting musculature day. It's organizing. You need to organize the shoulder mechanics, get that upward rotation going, get the bony mechanics working. But you also need to help the shoulder blade remember that it's still connected to the rest of the body. Now, I do a ton of this integration work in my client sessions with people, because I have a lot of people with joint issues. And whether it's live or online, the important thing is to get to understand what's going on in your own body. Again, use your cheat sheet, put your hands on, and work on integration once you break it down small, and then you bring it back to the big picture. It's sort of like Dan Siegel, the brain researchers. The way he talks about integration, it's first you get small, you break down all the differences in little tiny, the little tiny parts, and then you bring it back to the whole. So it's celebrating differences and seeking connections. He had a really great pithy way of putting it. But yeah, it's like, so you go down and you see each individual muscle and how it contributes to the motion of this overhead reach, which is very difficult for rotator cuff people. And then you bring it back into the whole body system, and you remember that the wrist bone's connected to the elbow bone's connected to the shoulder bone's connected to the butt bone, because that's how it goes. So a couple of the exercises that I use for full body integration, allow me to show you. 2 things. It's called the developmental squat, is this first one. And this is something that I made up when I had to describe developmental movement in 30 seconds or less. So here's how it works. There's developmental movement in 30 seconds or less. There's a pattern, a series of patterns that we all go through as we learn how to move. As we go from babies who are like, oh my gosh, gravity's a thing, I'm no longer suspended in a uterus, to people who can stand and walk. So the first thing we do, find your feet, soften your knees, bend your hips and your ankles. You're going to yield down to the ground. You're going to feel your body releasing into gravity. You're going to feel the pressure of your feet against the ground. Yield into the ground. And you're going to push against the ground. As you push, you're going to feel the feet pushing up into the head. You're also going to feel the feet pushing into the arms as you reach. Push, reach. Reach for something. Imagine something right out here that you can grasp. When you have hold of it, you're going to pull. So you can take a good look at it. Now here, we yield, we push, we reach, we grasp, we pull. And now here comes the sophisticated part when we're learning to move. Now we have a choice. Now we can absorb, or you reach, grasp, pull, examine, and release. So here's the sequence again, just the plain old sequence. Yield into the feet. The feet push the head and the arms to reach, grasp, pull. And you can either absorb or release. Pick one. I'm doing both because I want to show you guys both options. But this is the point where you or your client gets to choose. So it's yield, push, reach, grasp, pull, absorb, or release. Releasing there. One more time, I'll show you absorb. Yield, push, reach, grasp, pull, absorb. So my choice is there. The most important thing is when that push comes, the push melds into the reach. I can reach. See how this is? See how when I reach, it's just coming straight from the shoulder, as opposed to coming through the whole body. It's subtle, but that's okay. So is movement. So is life. So is being alive. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. And now I've sat down without showing you part two. This part is much less philosophical, but also might be difficult for people with knee issues or people with dignity issues, because speaking of developmental patterns, one of the first things we do is we crawl. This uses all kinds of muscles. All kinds of muscles. It also may be difficult for people with hardcore rotator cuff injuries or serious shoulder blade instability, because sometimes even just putting your hands down the ground into that position can be difficult. If it's not difficult, it's a beautiful way of working on integrating everything in the body. So let's see. In fact, I'm so good. This is the next question. This person says, I have clients for whom the quadruped position is really uncomfortable or even dangerous because of the instability of the shoulder blade. She's asking, would it be effective to have them stand up and put their hands against the wall to do some of these exercises? Maybe not so much for crawling, but otherwise, absolutely. It's one of the 3 ways that I modify an exercise. It's change the lever load, change the range of motion, change the basic stability. So this is changing the lever load. If, for instance, if I cannot do a full plank, I will do a knee plank that shortens the lever load. If I can't even do the knee plank, if this is too much weight, I will put a ball underneath. Now, this ball is ginormous, so it's maybe not the best way of showing things, but what I can do is now this is my balance point right here, instead of being out here by my hips. So it's a shorter lever load. Couch. So right here, again, I'm making it shorter. If even this is uncomfortable, then putting your hands against the wall. So this is more load, this is less load. Whatever works for people. It's a fantastic modification. I highly recommend it. I have certainly used that when I have people with acute rotator cuff issues. It's very, very handy. So yeah, good choice, go for it. Next, we have somebody who's saying, I'm really afraid of hurting my clients in sessions. I have a lot of older people and I don't know what to do with them so they get a good workout and stay safe at the same time. I feel ya. It's a big part of why I do what I do, is that, one, I find it really interesting to work with injured people. It's like a puzzle. It's like, sure, I can, you can abuse a healthy person, like, all right, lift this, run there, jump up and down, whatever. It's not as interesting, for me at least, as solving the puzzle of an injury. Like, okay, You can't do this. What can you do? Oh, you can do this. Okay, great. Now, if we do this, will that help you? Oh, it does. Or, oh, that one doesn't. Okay. It's very intellectual. It's like body chess. I don't know. It's something I really enjoy. So I also have this problem, like, great, when you have delicate people, then you're like, and how do I keep from hurting them more? Because that would suck. They're here to get healthy and feel better, not to get injured and feel worse. So right here, posture is your friend. Posture and alignment. You know, as a personal trainer, I was, you know, I heard a lot about form. Good form, good form, good form, good form, which is personal trainerese for posture and alignment. Cheekbones, pubic bone, metatarsals, base of the skull, sits bones, heel bones. You get those 3 points aligned. 2 if you're sitting down, base of the skull, sits bones, cheekbones, pubic bone. You get those aligned and you're good. Now, the problem with being a personal trainer and doing this is that you often have to reduce people's weight. Like, not their body weight, but the weight they're lifting. People love to lift the big weights. Like, how much can you bench? How much can you press? And girls do it just as much as guys, because we want to be like, you think you can lift that? Honey, I can lift that too. Because honestly, it does feel kind of good to say that. I freely admit. But if you can't lift it with good form, you can't really lift it. The whole 1 rep max thing, the 1 rep max is the most you can lift with excellent form. Now, I'm not going to say perfect because there isn't perfect form, but really, really good form is key. I would suggest with your injured people to do body weight exercises and really, really, really nail them on the form all the time. Make sure everything is organized. So you guys have that whole section on posture in the class. You can get all the information you need out of there for specifics for rotator cuff, and honestly, for a lot of things, because posture is posture is posture is posture. So posture, alignment, everything. I'm realizing you don't actually say where the injury is. You don't say if there are injured people. What's up with my throat today? You don't say whether you're whether you've got injured people or just deconditioned people, but really go with either way. Go with body weight exercises and keep their form really, really good, and modify it as you need it. If they can't do planks, they can't do quadruped, put their hands against the wall and move their feet out, or put the ball underneath them until they can support their own body weight. Really, really good form all the time, because that is going to give them plenty workout. Trust me on this. Try to do a body weight workout with really excellent form. It's vicious, it's brutal, and it's extremely practical. The applications are amazing. I actually have a bunch of people with similar questions to this, so I'm just going to give you guys a quick rundown into, basically this is my whole process of how I work with injured people. Because like I said, it's interesting to me. I have a ton of injured people. I have a ton of injuries too. And this is fun for me. So this is what I do. It is a formula, and it's something you can apply to any client with any injury. The first thing you do, you check and you see what their physical therapist is saying. If you can talk directly to their physical therapist, that is the best. At least send them an email, check in with them. It's fabulous. If they don't have a physical therapist, get them one immediately. We are not qualified to be their physical therapist. I don't care, like, unless you have a physical therapy degree or the rules in your country are different. Here in the US of A, if you are not a physical therapist, you cannot be doing physical therapy. You can do post-rehab. You cannot do rehab. When the injury is acute, they need to be with somebody who has the right qualifications, mostly because you can get your butt sued. We don't want that. Not a thing that should happen, okay? If you can, have a network of people you can refer them to, because that's just one less step for them to take. Also, if you're talking with other physical therapists, you can see who you have a good personal rapport with, whose work you respect, who respects you, and who's good to talk with, because that is so valuable. It's that when I've had physical therapists I've been able to talk with back and forth, oh, it is so good. So next, know the muscles involved in the injury. You guys know the rotator cuff muscles now because you watched the class. And you can always go back and check it out too, because it's still there. So know those, and also know the supporting structures. You want to start local and go global. So start with a little, again, we're talking about integration. Get down, get small, get fine, get them aware of the small muscles, the 4 rotator cuff muscles here. And once you can feel them a little bit, then there's some strength and coordination gained in those muscles. Then you can move on to the mechanics of the joint and how to support it. So here, it's the scapulohumeral rhythm and that upward rotation of the scapula and that upward reach. So once you've gotten small, then you work on those bigger muscles that support that reach. It can go all the way down to the feet, integrating with the body systems. So bring that universal, that universal integration into the body. And then once you feel like the injured area is starting to get the hang of its rhythm again, then you can move on to integration with the rest of the body. I guess I was ahead of myself there in my notes here. Again, crawling, walking actually isn't bad, but when you walk so much, it's easy to kind of turn off the mind in walking. Walking is a great screen for you. All the time I'll have my clients like, okay, yeah, just go take a walk down to that first reformer and come on back. And so I can see in their walk what has changed since that exercise. So it's a fantastic diagnostic tool for you. So be sure to use that just to see what's going on with people. We talked about crawling, we talked about those developmental squats. Those are great for integration again. In general, your overarching ideas, you can take those PT exercises, have them bring them in, and just snap them into this pattern as you need to support the structure of what you're doing that day. And you can use this structure through one session. You can use this structure through a series of sessions. It depends on how you're feeling, how the client's feeling, and what makes sense for you, because you got skills. You're not here because you don't know what to do with the human body. You're here because you want to know more. So you're already pretty damn good at what you do. I trust and believe that, let me tell you. So use your instincts to see, okay, does this person do we just need to stay local today? Or once we've gotten a little bit of local, then we can move on to global, and then we'll integrate. Or today it's just local. Next session, we'll start bringing global. We'll do that for a few sessions, then finally we'll start working on full integration. Depends on the person, depends on you, depends on the vibe you are getting. So always pay huge attention to form and posture. That's what's going to get them out of pain really fast. It's what's going to keep them out of pain. It is hard to remember to maintain posture, so you want to be nailing it into them as often as possible. Like, okay, here we go. Repetition, so that they start hearing your voice in their head whenever they say sit down at their desk and start to slump. Yes, exactly. And finally, application. Back to that application principle. What do they need to do that this injury is preventing? Do they need to be able to do their yoga flow? Do they need to be able to reach cans out of the upper shelves of the refrigerator? Cans, shelves, whatever. They need to be able to reach overhead for whatever reason. Reminding them of what their goal is, what they're trying to do. Do exercises that would support that, and do exercises that would mimic that. So you and they can both keep their goal fresh and alive in their minds. Because when you can get them to their actual goals, and when they see that getting them to their goals is an important thing for you too, that they're going to appreciate that. I know I appreciate it when I know that my instructor or whatever is, has a goal in mind for me, and I have the same goal in mind. Like, okay, we are going the same direction. We're going to get the same things, and it's going to be awesome. So practice the activities of daily living that they're trying to do. Make sure that goal stays present in your mind as well as theirs. So that is actually it for us today. Thank you guys for your questions. Thank you for being here. And if you've got more questions, feel free to post them in the Anatomy Party in the Facebook group. I also have a small number of online consultations coming available next month in mid to late April. So if you are interested in that, message me and we'll talk about it, whether or not it's something that would fit your needs. Because like I said, I only have a few slots available, and I want to make sure that the people get it who really need it and can use it best. All right. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. Enjoy your anatomy. Help your people enjoy their anatomy. Let's get out there and change lives through our teaching. Ready? Good. Enjoy your anatomy. I'll see you online, possibly even in real life.